Leave a brief hello in the comments section before we get started. It might not seem like much, but believe me, it greatly facilitates YouTube sharing this tale with additional science fiction enthusiasts like ourselves. I'd like to know who is observing. A strong pulse of static signaled the failure of the seventh neural sync. The lights wavered. The user interface went dark. Enzer struck the console rail with his four-fingered fist. Once more, his gill-like neck slits fluttered in frustration as he yelled. The observation deck behind him barely vibrated. Not by mistake, but by being there. Beyond the glass, it waited. The Shangdi was merely observing, not pulsating or moving. Rejected the signal. The neural bridge fell apart once more. There was quiet. Not the silence of failure, the silent thought of something living. Over 40 kilometers of man-made superstructure, a twisted obsidian behemoth. In cables as thick as cruisers and encircled by rings of magnetic defense leases. Its surface was inundated with drones. Drones of the Confederacy are probing, scanning, and failing. And all around it were the armed escorts, medical barges, satellites, and Confed Science Division ships are all attached to the perimeter. Like vultures around a behemoth that has frozen. Within the Major Sciences bridge. Dreyer gazed through the glass towards the spacecraft. The silence had an eerie quality to it. Not quiet, but constraint, as though the ship was refusing to talk. He had cobalt blue skin. Dimly glowing. His emotion was unclear due to his strong facial features, however. Not chilly. The same word caused the ridges on his jaw to slightly vibrate. Reverberated from the communications. Each word is the same, but in some way distinct. Awaiting the specified command source. Homo sapiens, authentication. It was the 100th attempt since the start of the most recent campaign, and the 14th time in the last hour. The voice wasn't not totally mechanical. Desperation, inflection, and modulation were all present. Dreyer proceeded slowly towards the center table, where the remainder of the team reviewed, after turning away from the viewport. Failed records. One of the younger xenogeneticists, who was approaching. Farrell, a fur-covered Oscary who was short and stooped, clicked his teeth in frustration. It isn't living. It's code. Every species' DNA has been hurled at it. Each and every neural mimicry, linguistic model. It refuses to open. It refuses to blink. The words reverberated behind him, waiting for the assigned command source. Verification. Human beings. The end carried a sharp upswing this time. Tone that was almost imploring. Silent tension buzzed around the table. The Shangdi wasn't responding to electromagnetic pulses or power spikes. It has been waiting for more than 3,000 years. Dreyer's gaze strayed to the data pad he was holding. The report had been forgotten, misfiled, and almost thrown away in the most recent upgrade. It wasn't a headline. Not feasible. Quarantine 6 Protocol. He gently tapped it one again as the last line came back to him. Homo sapiens is the biological unit. Situation. Steady. Preserved by cryopreserve. Stasis. Age. 3,332. Normal years in the galaxy. He remained silent. The significance of the data gripped his chest. Dreyer, Commander. Across the room, Enzer's words rang out. He, blinking, gave a slow nod, and put the pad aside. Proceed to the following set. I'll examine the logs for quantum sync. He did not, however, approach the console. He looked towards the lift. A war was being fought in the Confederation Spiral Council chambers across the stars. With voices instead of guns. The central room was sculpted into a hollowed-out. Languages, gestures, and cultural signals overlapped on an asteroid orbiting the galactic core. The atmosphere. The floor split into color-coded tiers as the delegations of more than 60 species engaged in heated discussions. Shouting, gesturing, and threatening in coordinated mayhem. There are ceremonial light trees above each delegation. Hovered, representations of long-forgotten agreements and averted conflicts. Their colors surged in a way that did not fall into any recognized range, responding to changes in the political climate. At the summit of the Central D's was the Crown's High Chancellor, Fex Thor. His visage. His 4 eyes darted between ambassadors as he wore layers of bone armor. His deafening quiet served as a warning for intensification. Arch-General Lorvac of the Valkyrie Combine thundered, "The artifact needs to be disassembled." Huge reptile whose voice was seismically powerful. "You led it to awaken, and all of the archives from the fall. Prophecy turns become an era. They made glass out of planets. Extinction was engineered by them." A delegation of slimmer, gentler creatures. The Lisari gestured with their hands in a gesture in response. Their past was that. Not this ship. This one might recover. False myths, Lorvac growled. The room was filled by a projection. Numerous planetary systems showed up. They are all shown in holographic relief. Each one is gray-brown with whirling storms or radiation damaged. One by one. Helen 6 Arva Prime. T's grasp. Advisor colloped forward, a female scientist from Lisari. Her voice was low, yet it carried with strange clarity as the chamber fell silent. These planets are dying. The breakdown of our biological networks is occurring more quickly than expected. There is less atmospheric integrity. Less than a generation away from complete collapse. The Shangdi was intended for planetary-scale terraforming. When it is activated, it may bring things back into equilibrium or provide us with the blueprint to create our own systems. If we demolish, we destroy our last shot, murmured someone. Fexter got up. The room. Instantly quiet. He spoke softly. Accurate. The Council approves one. Disassembly starts after the last 20 cycles of activation, with no exceptions. The tiers rippled with murmurs. The Akari, a lower-level species. Pale, long-necked creatures with eyes that swirled like ink stood up to object. However, Fexter held up one hand with claws. Enough. The resolution was approved. 20 cycles. The secrets of the Shangdi would thereafter be lost forever as it was ripped apart piece by piece. Returning to orbit over. The last contact, Arcos 4, separated with an inertial gas hiss. The Tarek reclined in his chair, his translucent cranium lined with folds of fatigue. No. He rasped, resonating. Everything was disregarded by the core. The scientific group started turning off machinery. Robotic arms pulled back. Back inside containment modules, cables slithered. Engineers whispered. As sensor arrays were turned off. Dryer was still not back. Nobody took notice. Beyond the viewing bay. The Shangdi remained still, but a tiny alteration had occurred.